In this video, we're going to do an unboxing and a flip through of Memento Mori from Two Little Mice. So let's get into this.
Welcome to Solitary RPG.
In this video, we're going to do an unboxing and a flip through of Memento Mori from Two Little Mice. This is not an original game from them. This is an Italian game that they got the license for and did something on Backer Kit. And I guess it would be considered a second edition of the game because they've added some new contents to the original game for people to enjoy. I was first introduced to Two Little Mice from a game called Broken Compass that was put out by Simon. And then I started to discover some of their other works, like the series of books they put out for Dante's Inferno, which is just awesome. They got Apocalyptica coming out. They've done Household, which has got a lot of popularity. And they put out top-notch quality stuff. And this is right up there with Household. This is the GM screen. It's also a cover for the slip box, but you got this gold inlay right there, so it's just gorgeous. So with all that being said, let's jump into the unboxing of the product. We're going to do this the old-fashioned way with photos. There's the box. It came from Studio 2 Publishing and it arrived on my doorstep, had no damage. Here's the opening. Woo, it's open. But look how they packed everything. So you've got bubble wrap around the box, and then the box itself, the slip cover, and all the books were all wrapped up. None of my corners were damaged. Outstanding job by Studio 2. And then there's the box. It is too big for me to put on my camera, so you just get to see a photo of it. And as you saw in the photo, this GM screen wrapped around the front, it's got magnets in it. It's really cool. And then on the flip side, you have some information for playing your game. So it's your pretty standard GM screen, but it's really cool. And this is just amazing art from Daniela. Then here is the actual books. There's 3 actual books. The 4th book, this blue book, is more of a box holding certain things, but you've got all this art on the outside and on the back. Memento Mori. Sorry, it doesn't show up good on screen, so we'll pull this out and set it aside. This is the core rule book. This is the bestiary or monster manual. This game is deep in folklore. This is all the optional rules that have been added to the game. And then this is a box, like a storage box for additional content that came. This is the only damage I have on my product. And this probably happened during manufacturing. It could also be there was an air bubble when this was glued together, and that can cause that. Again, I do a lot of bookbinding, so I've learned a lot from making mistakes. So there could have been an air bubble here in the glue and it caused this, or something just hit it and pressed it in. I don't know which, but it happens. So let's dive into everything that you get. Let's just look at these books for a second. These have a cloth cover on them. You've got this gold leafing going around it. And it just feels amazing to hold in your hands and to have on your table. Something that I don't want to say you would find this in the world, but I don't know. It's just a nice book. I like holding nice books. And then when you open it, you got these black end pages, and then you're just dive into the game. This is a game suggested for people over the 18, so this is more of an adult game because we have fear, violence, and sex. So they're giving you some heads up. This may not be suited for all audience members. And then you're just going to get into the book itself with the art. This is not an art-heavy book. None of these books are art-heavy. This is a lot of reading, just like reading an old novel from back in the day. But you're going to come to what is Memento Mori. So this paragraph here is your elevator pitch. So let me pitch it to you. Memento Mori is a role-playing game in which players come together to recreate the adventures of a group of drifters. Drifters are people sick with the plague who, despite their condition and the terrible reality of 14th century Europe, are determined to fulfill their dream. The sickness plaguing them opens the doors to a new and darker world, full of power, suffering, horror, and opportunities beyond their imagination. The cold hand of fate offers drifters one last opportunity to succeed before the disease consumes them completely. When people come together to play an adventure with Memento Mori, they have a chance to bring to life and experience unique stories set in a horrific world. This game is best suited for a group of 3 to 6 players, and different adventures can have different size groups. Each adventure can last however long it needs to, but Memento Mori is best suited for shorter adventures lasting between 5 and 7 sessions. So that's your sales pitch. And it tells you everything you need to know to try to get together a group of people to jump into this game. You're in 14th century Europe during the Black Plague. You are a drifter. You have the disease, and you're going to go out and it's like your last hurrah. You're going to go out and live your dreams. What did you always want to do? Could be good, could be bad. It's up to you. And then there is a they call it their parallel universe. It's called the Veil, and there are creatures on the other side of the veil, and there are gates and sometimes tears in this parallel world where things can go between worlds. You as a drifter, one of your powers is you can see these things. So it's I'm going to say it's in line with Vaesen. If you've ever played Vaesen, that's kind of the same concept. Is you can see the monsters or the people, and average people can't see them. So that's your sales pitch, and then it's just going to get into more about the game. This is a very narrative-driven game. This is not a game all about the mechanics. It's a D6 dice pool style game where you're going to roll a bunch of d6 looking for beating a target number and for success. However, there's a corruption mechanic, and when you have corruption, you got to roll other dice, and bad things can happen. So that's kind of what gets the story going. World of the game. So this is going to give you a little bit of a history lesson and background about the Black Plague. Here you're going to get more of a historical overview of the time period. You know, back in grade school in history, we learned a little bit about the Black Plague. It's like it was one class session, but I'm sure this is probably going to give me some more information that I was not shared when I was growing up. This is going to talk about the veil, you know, beyond the veil. This is that fabric, that invisible line between the two parallel worlds, and just giving you some basic information. Here's talking about creatures from beyond the veil. And then you're going to get into the game, the foundation of what the game is, how everything is broken down. I'm just flipping through here, just loving the quality of the paper. It is a matte paper. It's got like an ivory. You can see it even on camera. I don't know how it's coming across on your screen, but it feels like old paper, and I just love it. And then you're just going to keep going into some of the basic mechanics of the game, when to roll dice, how to roll dice. And once you get to page 36, you're going to start learning about how to create your character. You have this little character sheet here, which is a unique looking character sheet. I printed one off. Here's how it looks. Instead of stats, you have organs. So you have these different organs. These represent your stats. When you have a box like this, which is not filled in completely, this means you roll one dice, and they give you dice in this game. You got white dice, black dice. So you'd roll one white dice looking for your target number. Your character can grow, and you can get more dice to roll in your pool. And then if you have a solid one like this, you roll a black dice, which represents a corruption dice. It's already in your blood because you are a drifter. You have the plague. You are already diseased. So you already have a little bit of that corruption in you. But everything on your character sheet can add to your dice pool. That's one of the things that Two Little Mice like to do, is create these dice pools. It's the same thing in Broken Compass, which is, I personally think, is a great game. It's a very universal rules system because they have all these different setting books, and it's more of a Yahtzee style game, but here you're just trying to reach a target number. One of the things that I found interesting about this game is you literally can lose your name. That is something you can lose in this game. You take so much corruption that you're no longer known by your name. You're just kind of known by something else, like a mark or something like that, which is really kind of cool. Anyways, character sheet, pretty straightforward, but it is different. The fact that they're not using typical stats, they're using organs, I just thought was cool and a little twisted. Anyways, so you go through here. This is how you create your character. I'll take you through it step by step for all the different parts of the character. You have your marks here. These are kind of like your personality, what's driving you, and then talking about your organ slots and everything like that, how those work and everything. So then you're going to get into this section here. You got a quick creation of drifters, which give you charts to roll on, which is always nice. Not everybody wants to put a lot of effort into creating a character, so you have some charts you can roll on. One of the things about this game is that it's not a game meant for long campaigns. As I read the little sales pitch to you, it's like 5 to 7 sessions because you're just trying to live out your dreams. Maybe this is a game you pick up for the holiday season when gaming groups kind of disband a little bit and you only have a few people left. Maybe this is something you pick up and you take some people on an adventure here if you so desire. But yeah, they can just create their characters real quick. Just roll all these charts and you'll have all your information and create complete randomness for your character. And I just think that's a really great thing to add to any game, especially for people that just want to get to playing. So you can do that. Then we're going to get into corruption. Yeah, they added bookmarks. And if you watched my recent video, you know how I feel about bookmarks. So we're going to talk about the corruption and what happens when you start taking corruption to your different attributes and things of that nature. As you're seeing, it's not a lot of art. And from what I understand, the creators, Two Little Mice, wanted to add like color art and do some other things for the art in this game, but the original authors weren't hip on that idea. They wanted it to stay kind of to the original printing of the game, so that's what they ended up doing, and I kind of appreciate that. That gives it more of that feel for back in the day of something you might find on the shelf in 14th century Europe, kind of. So, anyways, yeah. So this is just going to go in. And there's just a lot of reading for this game. This is not a simple game. This gives you lots of different tools to use, just like anything else. It's kind of a combination of like a GM's guide and a player's guide all in one. And then at the very back, they give you kind of a pre-made adventure, which is just really cool. So that you have something to pull from and kind of learn how the game works. And then you have character sheet here, and then if you don't want to run the pre-made adventure, they have the sheet here which gives you an opportunity to basically answer some questions and generate your adventure. So that's just a real quick flip through, but look at this book. It's just gorgeous with the gold leaf on the edges, and everything is just amazing, and I just love it. Now we're going to take a look at the bestiary or the monster manual. Now this game is, from what I understand, deep in the folklore, and this book alone is very popular for people just not even non-gamers or people that want to use it in other games, because there's no like stats and stuff in here. This is just a book about how these I guess we'll just have to call them monsters. How these monsters would behave in the game, but they're folklore, just like they are in Vaesen, and you could even say in Call of Cthulhu. But you'll get all your information you need to read to understand a little bit more about this book and all the different encounters that your characters can come across. And once you start getting into it, it's a lot of reading. Like, you're not seeing a lot of pictures in here, so you're gonna do a lot of reading. Then you start getting into your actual beasts themselves. You get some art of them, and then you get information about them, and it's just kind of cool. Their appearance, their stories, so this would be their folklore, their dangers, what they do. So this is all like boogeyman stuff, you know, stories that were told, because, let's face it, that's kind of what the Vale is all about. It's about those stories, those folklores. It's the Bigfoot, the Loch Ness monster, all that kind of stuff coming across the Vale and showing itself every once in a while. And you hear stories about it, which create them into legends. And maybe that's part of your adventures, to go out and encounter one of these for yourself. I don't know. That's up to you, but it's just cool stuff. But that's what this book is all about. This is all, your narrative information about how these creatures from the Vale interact in the world. So, and it just goes on and on and on, and that's what it's all about. And then you get into some of the mushrooms or fauna, or the world itself, so that you can, in case you want to go make a potion or you get something like that. Just cool stuff. The last book is the Green Book, and this book is all of the additional rules that were created as stretch goals, add-ons, or things that Two Little Mice wanted to incorporate into the game, and really just explains all of that additional information to the game master, and I would assume players, I guess. But it does incorporate tarot cards, and you got the Book of Secrets and binding packs. So that's what this is going to have. And it's going to go into the tarot cards, which we're going to take a look at, and they are gorgeous. But it's going to give you how to use the tarot cards, and then it's going to go through and explain, how the tarot card, upside down, face forward, how to interpret the tarot cards and use that information in your game. It's just going to give you that breakdown. I'm just kind of quickly flipping through this because we're going to actually look at these tarot cards. They're gorgeous, just gorgeous. And then it's going to keep going on about the tarot cards, a little bit more information about them. And that's a big portion of this book. And then you're going to have the Book of Secrets. So this is going to give you some more encounters to play with. Then towards the back, you're going to get the Blades of Ruin, which these are just some weapons you can give to your characters, which we're going to take a look at because these came as printed cards. And then the binding packs, which is I showed in the core rule book, the little GM's guide. You could go through and create your last quest. This is just another way of doing it, but these are very thematic, and this gives you all of those informations. These were actually created as handouts, which is really cool. Then the last thing we're going to take a look at is this little storage box that has dice in it, your tarot cards. These are the Blades of Ruined I've mentioned, and I can't get that last one out. I'll just flip everything over, and the packs that we talked about. So the box is really nice. It's just a good place. You can put your character sheets in here. You can put other, pencils and all your things that you need. And then everything goes in the slip cover, and that's what you can take to your gaming session and just have it displayed on the table, and it will just look gorgeous. Here are your dice. You have them in like this black canvas bag with a gold MM embroidered on the front, which is really nice. The dice themselves have the MM on the 6. Your white dice are like your normal dice, and your black dice are your corruption dice. Rolled 3 each. And you have 7 white and 7 black dice, which is just a good amount of dice for playing your game. Then you have the tarot cards. These are amazing. Now, I don't know much about tarot cards, and I watched Man Alone's kind of conversation regarding tarot cards, and I still don't understand them that well. But this is not a full tarot deck. It's a small, maybe it's just the major arcanas. It's just whatever the cards are you need from the rules that they added. As you can see, I got a matte black background with a matte white print, And then there's this gold leafing all over the art, which is just awesome. The back of them are just these stars with a border. And these are just cool. So here's the world card and judgment. So they just got their title. Look at the sun. Look at that. You can even see my camera up above. That's just awesome. And you got, just different tarot cards. They look awesome. Here's the tower. And the green book will give you the instructions on how to incorporate these into your game. This one's just blank, but I'm assuming that's supposed to be death. I'll find out when I read it. And it just kind of goes on. They're just gorgeous. I'm just kind of flipping through them because I just really like to look at them. I love this chariot. It's like a spider with a skull with rats driving it, and that's something I would see probably in Kingdom Death. Like, that's just crazy. The lovers, the Pope, the Emperor. Yeah, so you just have all these cards. They're just really neat. And there's the Fool. And I love the gold leafing on them. These are the weapons I was talking about in the green book. These are the Blades of Ruin. These are just something you can give your PCs so they have some kind of an opportunity to survive in this world. Like this one, you have a nice piece of art to show it off, the name of the weapon, but in the back you get a little bit of flavor text and then how the weapon actually, the rule mechanics for this particular weapon. So imprisoned in this longsword, there is the spirit of a prince of destruction. This blade has the power to melt when it comes into contact with armor, only to return to solidity after reaching past the barrier. Anyone wielding this blade gains an advantage when trying to strike armor or magically protected targets. So these are just cool. There's 6 of them, so if you wanted to, you could have your players roll, and maybe you have like a little chart made up for the 6 different weapons. Or you can just let them pick randomly, or just let them pick one of these. But they could use these as just something out on the table, just to remember that they have this weapon. Or you can also use them as bookmarks for your game. It's just nice to get little additional bonus material like that, just like these are just bonus material. All this information is in the green book, but here we have some nice color printout. This is for the Field of Death, and these are just nice to look at. On the inside of these is the information that you and your players will decide on to create their adventure that they're going on. There's nice. They're just a glossy with all this art. This one's really neat, seeing the little skeleton come to life. That's always fun to find in a cemetery when you're walking through it. This one has a nice piece of art for like it's called the shipwreck, but it looks like a water adventure, or maybe you were attacked at the water and you end up on an island someplace. And then this one is the Endless Night. So let's take a look at one of these a little bit closer and walk through some of the information. We'll look at the Fields of Death. This is a little bit of a story on the back of it, that you can pitch to your players, but then you open it up. And this gives you kind of the actual content. The characters who come together in this binding will travel through regions overrun by violence and brutality, lashed by the harsh conflicts that ravaged the old continent. They are runaways, deserters, survivors, or a small troop chasing after a mission. Going on adventure with this binding pack means facing the horrors of war, putting the bonds of the group to the test, and discovering how far people are willing to go in order to survive. It's the beginning of the final battle, the battle for the dream, the one that will give meaning to the life of blood and death. So that's what this binding pack will create. So this is kind of like bringing the group together and saying, this is our mission, this is what we're doing. And then you just have these steps that you'll go through. First, you have a thematic reference. So we have 3 of them. We could roll a d3. I'll just read the first one. The steel, the corpses, the mud, the raven, the battle cries before the clash, and the silence after the fight. So that's just thematic information, just something to kind of set the mood. But then you go to question one. The drifters go on a quest across regions affected by plague outbreak of the 14th century. But where specifically? So you're creating your world setting. Like, where are you at in the world right now? In the fog covered moors of England, on the cold coast of Brittany, France, in the damp plains of northern Italy, in the woods at the heart of Germany. I really think the woods of the heart of Germany would be a fun place to have your final battle. Then we have number two. The drifters all belong to a group with shared objectives. What is their group? So, is this a military unit from a defeated army? Is this a free company or a mercenary group? A gang of battlefield pillagers? Noble knights of religious order? So, basically, this just gives you an understanding of why your group is together and what is your shared background. The drifters are keepers of great secrets. What are the secrets? So, they are deserters on the run. They are spies who infiltrated an enemy army. They took part of a seedy pagan ritual with other soldiers. They made a pact with a witch in order to survive. So the group just has a shared secret that they all know, but they don't talk about. So, step four, before the beginning of the adventures, all drifters share an omen. What was the name of the event it unfolds? So they give you some suggestions here. The hecatomb of innocence. So basically, I had to look that word up. It's kind of like a large sacrifice. So, large sacrifice of innocence. The sword pyre, the sharing of ancient blood. Ooh, that could be fun. And the Lost Legion's banquet. So, interesting stuff. And of course, you can always create your own. I would just make photocopies of this. This is on glossy paper. The omen mentions a location where the event will take place. What is this location? And you just have some different sites here you can pick from: the Emerald Forest, the Pike Cemetery, the Red Fortress ruins, and where the five roads meet. So, just really an easy way to kind of walk through the steps to kind of create your adventure. And then the omens left five key symbolic concepts, also known as effigies, in the minds of the drifters. What are these symbols? And you would just list them out. And then here are the marks. So we talked a little bit about marks in the core rulebook. But here you have some marks that are exclusive to just this particular adventures. The first one: you should have died a violent, unspeakable death. But while fatal, the disease is keeping you alive through its entire development. It is your work. It is the work of your higher will. So basically, you don't die. The disease wants you to go through the whole process of the disease, and then they give you some key words that you can use for your character. And then we have another mark here. The world is inhabited by sacks of flesh and blood. When death arrives, they can become nourishment for you. If you could just manage to control your hunger. And then it gives you some more keywords that you can use for your character. Basically, it sounds like you're a little bit of a vampire-ish kind of person or flesh eater. Ugh. And then here they have some recommended marks. So like the Mark of Dawn, Ferryman, and Judge, which are probably the ones in the book. So neat stuff, but that's what these are. They didn't have to create these, but I'm glad they did. Because first of all, you got some cool art to look at in color. Because for the most part, outside of the GM screen, all the other art is black and white. So here you got some colored art to look at. And this is additional information on playing the game. It's not part of the core concepts of the game. So that was a unboxing and a little bit of a flip through of Memento Mori. This was a project that, yes, I think the game concepts are cool, or the setting and all that's really cool, but I was really into this just simply because of the quality of the books. I love books, quality books. I'm all about having the book as being part of the game experience itself. Having these out on the table just will add a little bit more to the game. Anything you can do to add to the immersion. A good quality book is the same as a nice piece of art to look at. Plus, we get some amazing art to look at with the GM screen to help with that immersion. But yeah, it's 14th century Europe during the Black Plague. So good luck to you and your characters. So thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.